welcome back to ZZ Talk with Zeno and Zeus.
Zeno.
Yeah, what's up?
What happened to our clothes?
Oh, I ditched the scarf. I ditched the entire look because it's a day later. Power outage, man. Well, yeah, because I noticed you're actually. Honestly, I actually don't remember what you were wearing yesterday. As far as I know, it could be the very
I was
same
wearing.
thing.
I was still wearing a red shirt. It just got rid of the flash symbol.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So this is your alter ego.
This is my alter ego. This is my Barry.
Barry Allen?
I was Flash yesterday. Today I'm Barry.
Okay. Hey, better than Wally West. We were about to get into. What?
I don't know the Flash that well, so.
Okay. We were about to get into politics yesterday when I had a power outage. So, yeah, the topic is that Trump will not let it go. It's what, 4 weeks later, and we're still under litigation in several places. Even though now I think the count is 1 in 39.
So you're not gonna play any of that. You're not gonna. There's none of the what we talked about yesterday is gonna be in the video, right?
No.
From this section.
No.
All right, good. Because remember, I said it. He won't let it go. Oh. Let it go. I had to throw in my. Singing, bro.
I remember now. Yes, because I said that it wouldn't be a ZZ Talk episode without Zeus singing.
I don't know.
I was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I usually like roast you on it, but that was actually pretty good. So. Huh? Oh yeah.
I'm working on these, man. I'm working on. Yeah.
So I think a good encapsulation of everything that's been going on with like just not really wanting to see reality and then just how farcical the entire thing has been was this video I just showed Zeus. He actually watched it prior to us starting recording, and I was telling him that it should have been a reaction video because his reaction to it was hilarious. It's Melissa Carone. I think she was one of the poll watchers or one of the counters or something like that, and she was supposed to be the campaign star witness in Michigan, talking about voter fraud and the fact that she believes something like 100,000 votes were illegitimate or something like that, right? So the video shows her being in front of the Michigan State House and fielding questions from both Democrats and Republicans and flabbergasting people on both parties.
Everybody.
Yeah, she was absolutely ridiculous. We're gonna put the link to that video in the description. Do you have anything you want to say on her before we carry on with the rest of the Trump crew?
Well, I want you to know that voter fraud is like so wrong.
Dude,
it's exactly how she sounds, by the way.
You do that too well, man. It's scary.
Hey. When you work in customer service, you have to, you learn how to mock people sometimes. So the craziest part to me is that it's just like, it seems like every single one of their witnesses has always been a fraud or has been debunked immediately. Because wasn't there like a guy who literally said one day he said, oh yeah, I witnessed voter fraud. And then the next day he said, no, I actually really didn't witness anything. I saw nothing.
Then the day after that, it looked like he was filming a hostage video saying that I retract my retraction. Yeah. So it's like what are you guys talking about, man? Like the whole thing is bonkers. I think since when we last recorded, they've gone to the Four Seasons to have a press conference, but it was the Four Seasons landscaping. By now, all of you must have heard about what happened there. Then every time they're in court, the judge will ask them, are you guys alleging fraud? And they'll be like, no, we're not, sir. Oh, no, we're not, Your Honor. And then they'll be like, so what's the issue? Yeah, so in court, they're not allowed to lie because they don't want to get disbarred. But then on the outside, they can lie however much they want.
And now they have a video of supposedly of, and it was the video that I saw that one of my friends wanted was like, oh, look, this is proof. It's from like a news I don't even know the name of the damn group that's doing it, but it's like it's a video, a YouTube video from somebody probably that isn't even like valid as a person, but then he shows CBS talking about it, which I'm like, yes, the local news does give voice to the people who probably don't need to be spoken on, because half the time what it is like, hey, look, they're showing this video as proof. We're going to discuss this video And then at the time, it's always been like that video isn't even show crap. But they, you know, the problem with the news, the local news media and every news media is they give the dissenting 1% equal voice as the remaining people. Yeah, exactly. So it's just it hasn't been proven at all in court. It's completely getting debunked every single time in court. And now, I don't know if you saw Joe Biden spoke on. He said that he thinks that Donald Trump should definitely be at his inauguration to prove that we're going to have a peaceful transition of power. Yeah, the
America still believes in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the problem is, though, you have all these people on these comment pages saying he shouldn't do it. He's the rightful president. I was like, well, he is the rightful president until January 19th of 2021. After that, he's no longer president. You know, that his term
is it 19th? 21st.
Well, January 20th is inauguration day, so he's president up until January 19th, 2021. Or unless are they both president on that same day, technically?
They are until noon.
Until noon, okay.
Yeah. So I want to actually, I'm glad you brought up the thing about giving the voice to the 1%, because I want to talk about social media platforms, right? And you know, after the election, or actually election day, after Trump had that press conference, that really crazy one where he was like, you know, and quite frankly, we did win. You know, we're talking about Michigan and Pennsylvania and all that stuff.
Quite frankly, we did win the Super Bowl.
Right. Hey, we're the Super Bowl champs, man. So I want to talk about the fact that, you know, Twitter, every time the president would say something false, like not even arguably false, like definitely false, they would flag his tweets, right? Or every time he would say something inflammatory, like you should stand up to your government or whatever, something like that, right? That seems to be inciting violence, they'll flag his tweet. What I want to ask is, do you think that it is a social media platform's place to be calling balls and strikes, or should they just let whatever anyone wants to say roam free, you know, regardless of what the consequences might be?
Yeah, that obviously that instantly brings up the whole argument of the First Amendment, right? You know, the freedom of press. And the thing is, though, I know there are some countries. I don't know. You obviously are more well-rounded than I am. You've lived in what? This is your third country you lived in?
Fourth.
Oh, I know South Africa. I know Nigeria. Obviously, where else? South
Africa, Nigeria. We'll say third for a significant amount of time. Everywhere else has been Cameroon. Okay. It is fourth, yeah.
So I don't know if in those countries they have these laws, but I know that now I might be mistaken, but I've heard that Canada has a law where basically they say anything false, they cannot say their news if they're false. They have to state their entertainment.
Right.
You know?
And you know, you do have newspapers like the New York Times or whatever that they make sure they write opinion, or they write, you know, even on CNN.com, they'll say opinion or analysis or whatever. So the New York Times editorial, they do make sure to say it's opinion. But the thing is, people aren't really seeking that out. Like, is it opinion?
And people are taking those opinions as all they. If it's Fox News and it says opinion, all they see is news, so they're taking it as fact.
Yes, yeah.
Even if it's somebody's opinion, so that's a different thing, right? That like every news outlet can do what they want to do. That I won't say that the news media should. I mean, the social platforms should instantly flag them, but there are times where it's dangerous when they don't. You know, Donald Trump has incited violence. They didn't flag. They only really started flagging him lately.
Yeah, remember, they started flagging him on election day.
His first few presidencies, he was never being flagged, despite the fact that people said, "Look, he has violated your rules for the longest time. Any other person, you would have banned them."
Yes.
And then they argue the whole, well, he's the president and he uses it. So then they do certain things like he can't block somebody because you're a public figure. You know how there is that rule that if you're a public figure, you're not allowed to block. Or is that a law? No, that was a law, right? That was
I don't know.
No, I think it was. I think it might have been a law that they decided that basically said a public figure cannot deny somebody access to them.
You know what it is? The president's Twitter account, and this is based off of something Sean Spicer said like a month into the presidency. The president's Twitter account is actually an official, acts as an official statement of the White House.
Yeah,
Therefore, if that account blocks what someone says, that is essentially the government blocking the voice of someone, which is in violation of the First Amendment. A private company, a private business blocking someone's right to say something is not in violation of the First Amendment. The government doing so is.
Yeah. So to answer your question though about do I think does a social platform have the responsibility of basically making sure that they don't allow erroneous things? I think they do, because they the only issue that ends up becoming, of course, if it's when it's something that's your agenda and it gets blocked, you're like, well, damn.
Yeah.
But it has to be fair. Obviously, Facebook started doing that a little bit more, even though so post-election, Zeno knows about this. I was actually banned from Facebook twice. So because I was very upset. So I might have told Kentucky and South Carolina, was it South Carolina or North Carolina? South Carolina and Kentucky that they can do something to themselves for reelecting Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham. I got banned for 24 hours that day. So prior to that, way back when, like a few months way before this, I think it was actually last year, was my first flag. And you know what it was? So one of my friends put something on Facebook about women and women being equal to men or something like that. And then I joking around, and all my friends knew it was a joke, because literally the person who was the poster laughed at that comment. I put, you know what else women are? Nasty, and she knew I was doing Donald Trump because I did a Donald Trump meme. And then but obviously I was in agreement with what she was stating, but it was just a joke, right? Because that is my sense of humor. So that was my first flag. And the problem is, if you try to argue something against Facebook saying, hey, look, I'm not violating any of your rules here, they don't review it. Because what they gave me instantly was a message that, or a few days later, said, due to coronavirus, we're limited to people, so we can't review your statement. So it's just kind of like now it's like, I feel like a lot of times, at least with Facebook, I don't know about Twitter. What's the political leanings for the people on Twitter? For Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, to me, he's a suspect. He's suspect in his political leanings.
I think people think, well, first of all, Mark Zuckerberg might be suspect, politically, but I think the overwhelming number of people that work at Facebook and do the algorithms and that stuff are definitely left-leaning.
And I think that's for just about every single social media.
Yeah,
and just
because
about
they're all in California, right? They're all Palo Alto.
And the companies that I find to be what I like to call millennial companies, which are like companies that really got big during this time, the ones that are doing like the the free baby bonding for when someone gives birth, those kind of like Netflix and stuff like that. For some reason, a lot of times it turns out to be that the main people in charge are usually conservative, which reason being why, why that is, right? Yeah. Exactly. Money. It's always about the money. And then it's their workers always tend to be more liberal leaning, more left leaning, because I know one of my friends who works in Delta, he says that, so in Delta, he said that the majority of the people who work like in like ticketing, flight attendants, the more labor side of Delta tend to be more left leaning.
Yeah.
People working on the more corporate side, the engineers, basically the people that make the more money, they end up being conservative. So it always seems like where the money goes is where you end up finding someone becoming conservative. Because actually, there's been a study about that. People who won the lottery become conservative after they win all this money, despite the fact that you really work for that money by scratching a ticket. But It's your money. I get it. You're trying to protect it. But with that being said, with the CEOs and the creators of these platforms being a little bit probably conservative thing, I do feel that there is a responsibility on them to ensure that their companies do make sure to show true information. Yeah. Reason being is Facebook, Twitter, I don't know about Instagram, but Facebook and Twitter, those have become a lot of people's source of information.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And the problem is
for really old people, it's WhatsApp.
So the problem with that I do find though, and you touched on it when we talked about the election, is what ends up happening is because you end up liking certain particular things, you end up following the same. It becomes
Keep
an echo
feeding
chamber.
you the same thing. Yeah.
So then it becomes an issue. Is like, are me and you getting all the left leaning news, but maybe it's being biased.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it's true, but it's not 100% the entire story.
And this is the problem with moving to like an app like Parler and only getting information coming from right wing, or now, this might not be popular to say, but it's also kind of the problem when Twitter, almost kind of suppresses voices that are more conservative leaning. The
You mean like
problem
Milo?
is,
Are you talking about Milo?
no, because I think
He's
Milo,
slanderous.
exactly, his stuff was slanderous. The problem is that, I think as a private company, Twitter feels like they have a responsibility to say, hey, if you're gonna learn from us, then we should tell you that this thing that this person is saying is heavily refuted. And if you still take it as fact, then so be it.
That's on you.
That's on you. But so when you have one party that is not really relying on facts, just relying on raw emotions, and just saying, "Oh, I mean, there's no way Trump won. I feel like this must have been fraud," and then putting that out there and saying that it was fraud, then obviously that one side is gonna get refuted all the time. But then those people will now feel like, well, you're not having a balance of
now they're saying,
ideas.
how dare you, Facebook, you're what's it called, you're biased towards
censoring conservatives, and it's tough. It's tough to walk that balance. Oh my God, sorry, we spent a while on this, but I do want to say there was a tweet someone said, put out there, some lady, I can't remember what the name is, that said, if Biden is so sure that there wasn't any fraud in Michigan, then why doesn't he go out and prove it? Like, what do you mean? Why doesn't he prove it? You're the one alleging he did something. You prove it. I'm not gonna go outside and say, "Hey, neighbor, you murdered someone," and then ask him to prove that he didn't. What kind of BS is that? So
you Google it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I hate that. You're gonna say something blatantly false, and then I say, "Hey, show me your source." And you're like, "No, you look it up." No, you said the dumb shit.
Yeah, because you're the one that's telling me this false information. It's your if you're giving me this information, then the burden of proof of you to convince me is on you. I'm not going to convince me for you.
Exactly. I really hate that. So anyway.